those survival skills that I think can go unnoticed. And it's not always looked at as controlling, especially if we could rationalize it or justify it. Or at least I can. Let me speak in the I. So controlling versus trust. In the language of letting go, it was from October 14th, if anybody wants to go back if you didn't read it that day. The message was talking about the act of control or the behavior of controlling is a direct response to fear, panic, and sense of helplessness. We talk a lot about that with codependency. And remember, while this is not a CODA specific meeting, it is a inclusive meeting where all of our numbing and medicating, while they are different, also serve a purpose. They're helping me to numb, to stuff, to not feel pain, which has its own consequences, is also pretty smart if you think about it. If I'm surviving, I'm trying to make it through, I'm enduring, I'm just trying to live through whatever's happening. And there's not a lot of logic in that process. And in actuality, there can't be a lot of logic in that process because of the part of our brain that is, its purpose is to keep us alive, comes on, and the part of our brain that helps us with decision and logic goes off. Those two can't be on at the same time. So while some people might say, oh my gosh, she is so controlling, or oh my gosh, he is so controlling, I know there's some people that really hate when I make this statement, but I'm going to say it because in the root of all of it, I'm a behaviorist. All behavior serves a purpose. It does. I didn't say it served a good purpose. I said it serves a purpose. Behavior is not dualistic, good or bad. It just is. And it's also why our recovery tries to get us towards the gray, not all and not nothing. So when we think about the need to control or the reaction of controlling, the intention from a behavioral standpoint is to create a sense of safety. I know that sounds backwards. I know that that sounds contradictive to some behaviors or controlling reactions, but it's not about logic. It can't be about logic. When one is in a survival state and they're struggling to trust everything's going to be okay, that dynamic, that relationship becomes habitual. And when we talk about this in codependency, I talk about the root of trauma being the root of codependency in every numbing and medicating. Not to generalize, but to create a framework for how to go into recovery. If trauma happens to me, it's going to be your fault or my fault. That's the only ways I can gain control. Blame you or blame me. And that's what I meant before by, I think it helps to color it in because we don't always recognize our behaviors and actions as control. And blame is a form of control, even if I blame me. In a brain that doesn't have logic, it's got to be your fault or my fault. It's got to be in or out, all or nothing. So as a little one, we internalize, and this becomes our process, especially if we are adult children of dysfunction, because it's what I learn how to do. It's how I learn how to be safe. I didn't say it was right. I didn't say it was okay or healthy. I said it's how we learn to stay safe. When we're in this unpredictable environment, when we're in a home of dysfunction, regardless of what age that starts, my body's job is to figure out how to get my needs met. And a need, according to Maslow's hierarchy, is food, shelter, water, safety. So however I can create that outcome and fill that need is what I do to get there. Unfortunately, sometimes that's manipulation. And unfortunately, oftentimes that manipulation is to create control. It's your fault or it's my fault, but it's got to be somebody's fault. It's also why I talk about in here the most severe form of codependency is domestic violence. It is all about control, regardless of whether it's overt and abusive or covert and neglective. Domestic violence can be either one of those. There is research and theories that say the I can't think of the right words, but basically the most toxic form of power and control is a silent treatment. Is that what one is trying to do when one is using a silent treatment? No, we're just trying to make the shit stop, right? It is about survival. But we need access to both of those parts of our brain. Our amygdala is the one that controls the fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and its job is to keep us alive, do whatever it takes. The prefrontal cortex, that job is meant to be logical and analytical and make good decisions. What I want you to know about those two parts of the brain is they can't be on at the same time. So if one never gets to a state of recovery, one lives in survival mode. And many of those actions and behaviors are not going to make a lot of sense. And it doesn't matter if one is an attorney or a doctor or a teacher or a pharmaceuticals rep. It doesn't matter the cognitive abilities of a human. When we're living in survival, control is the way we recreate safety. And usually, if that's an adult child, that form of control is going to be your fault or my fault. It's just got to be somebody's fault, because that's the easiest way to, I think, reestablish some sense of control, to understand why it's happening. Because if it's my fault, then I can change my behaviors and I'll prevent it from happening again. That makes me sick to my stomach. I just want to say that out loud if anybody else is having some visceral responses to this. It's what creates and forms the need to people please. Remember, we are built to survive. If needs are not met, we do whatever it takes as a human to fulfill that need. It's not going to be a healthy way, probably, if we've never seen a healthy way. It's going to be whatever way we can get there. So learning to survive from a place of control does not teach me to trust. In fact, it does the opposite. Control makes me believe, I'm going to speak in the I now. Control makes me believe that I have the power to change someone else's actions or behaviors or feelings. Control makes me believe that I can make someone else happy. As a behaviorist, no, we cannot. But as a child, as an adult child, I am told through behavior that when I change my behavior and someone else backs off, oh, that must be good. Oh, what I just did created that change. And what it causes me to believe, my own personal recovery as a recovering codependent and adult child of alcoholic and dysfunctional families, is I really believed in first grade when the teacher was asking the class, who do you know best in this whole world? Who can you predict what they're going to do? Imagine how they're going to feel. Who can you make happy in this whole world? And I very proudly raised my hand because I knew that it was my dad. Never did I once think it was me. I really believed that I could do that because as the mascot of the family, anytime he got angry, as soon as I showed up, he would simmer down. And so I believed I had that kind of power. I believed that I could make a difference. I could protect my mom. I could keep her safe. I could calm dad down. I could make him laugh. As long as he was laughing, no one was in danger. That's what I believe. That's what I saw through behavior, cause and effect. What I never got to saw is what happened behind closed doors after I went to bed. I didn't change behavior. I just postponed it. And the next time he was drunk and he was more drunk, then it came at me instead of at mom. But because I thought I could control it, I could take it because at least he didn't go after her. And in my warped mind, because no prefrontal cortex, no logic, no decision, no analyzing, in my warped mind, I thought I still won because she was safe. Didn't matter that I was the one that got in the crossfire. So when we think about control and trust, control causes me not to trust anyone and anything. It's why most of our treatment starts out with creating an opportunity to become embodied and grounded so that I can start to see something bigger than me in the world. If you're a part of any type of 12-step process or any type of therapeutic process, that's how it starts. And that happens for a reason. Because if I'm the only one that I'm supposed to trust, see if this sounds familiar. Frequently will I let me down. Rarely do I ever let anybody else down. See if that fits for you. And then think about, how much trust do I have with me if that's the dynamic? Frequently do I let me down. Rarely do I ever let anybody else down. And then we get to this point of therapy or a 12-step program where we're trying to see what our anchor is. That's what I call it. That's an amberism. Don't Google it. Where's my anchor? What am I anchored in other than my pathology? Because my anchor was my codependency. I thought I was my dad's higher power. I thought I had that type of control and power. And what it taught me was not to trust anyone, including me. That's what my behavior showed, and it's what everybody else's behavior showed. As a kid, could I articulate that? Heck no. As an adult, do I realize that's why every one of my relationships are codependent? Yes, because it's my relationship language. It's how I show up. I'm under this false belief that if I control my outside world, I'll feel better on the inside. Hello, external locus of control. It doesn't work. And it keeps us on that hamster wheel or on that merry-go-round on the playground, thinking, I got it. I can figure out what to do. I'll up my game next time. I'll catch him before he has 5 beers instead of 6. There's always a way to one-up it. There's always a way I can try to control it to make it different. And in actuality, what that does is make me sicker. Because the more I'm trying to control, whether it was my dad or whether it was my, at the time, boyfriend, now husband, if I hide his keys, he can't go anywhere. If I hide my purse, he doesn't have any money. He won't be able to buy anything. If I lock the padlock and hide the key, he can't get out. There's lots of ways we can control. And when we can justify it as safety, we don't always look at it as the word control. But what I'm saying when I am controlling is it's not just that I don't trust you. It's that I don't trust me. The treatment model at the HC is all about me and me, because the only thing I can control is me. I can't control anybody else. I can't control how they feel. I can't control what they do, what they don't do. And I'll be damned if that's not evidenced by, if you're not a parent, even if you have a pet, I can't get my dogs to do what I want them to do half the time. They're like, yeah, mom, I hear you, but I'm not doing it. Much less my 9-year-old and my 7-year-old. Like, it's just the reality of we attempt to control when there is a lack of safety. And many of us don't acknowledge, we're never taught or have the semantics of emotional safety. I control when I lack emotional safety. And that's because we're humans. It's not because we're sick, bad, or wrong. So the way that I get into recovery is by learning how to trust me and me. When I rarely let me down, I'm building trust with me and me. When I do what I say, I'm building trust with me and me. I don't have any control over my outside world, and that causes a shit ton of powerlessness. And the more that I can see something bigger than me, whatever that is for you, that is not about religion, by the way. This has nothing to do with religion. It has everything to do with, is there something bigger than you in this world? And are you able to experience that and have a relationship with it? If that happens to be religion, great. If it's spirituality, great. If it's group consciousness, us as a collective, great. Whatever it is, when there is something bigger than me that is my anchor, then I can start to trust more me and me and others. But until I get this relationship back, I won't be able to trust a relationship outside of me. It is the roadmap.